What I want to talk to you about is they came out, if you can pull up this article, with a fine of, this is San Diego families want Alex Jones to pay up $2.75 trillion in damages as he seeks new trial. So here's a question I got for you. Either you're the richest man in the world and we don't know that. How do they collect that kind of money? How do they come up with a number like this to collect from you?
And then they run articles in the New York Times saying Jones refuses to pay. How am I? That's the GDP of like Scotland.
Jones refuses to pay.
More than that.
Or France, I think.
Actually, India's GDP is exactly $3 trillion. So they want you to pay India's GDP.
Which is 1,500,000,000 people.
Yeah.
And they say, why does he laugh? Well, here's the thing. I was found, this is very interesting because this is a new thing. If you wonder why Fox settled Dominion for $700 and something million right as the trial started over questioning the election, which we're not doing. Obviously, all elections are free and fair, and Biden's the greatest president ever. I'm serious. I love him. And the shots are wonderful. Take them all. Take hundreds of them.
Yeah.
But seriously, GMO's wonderful. Glyphosate's wonderful. Hunter Biden's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love his laptop. It's very entertaining. But seriously, what was I going to say?
No problem.
What they do is they, in certain jurisdictions like Austin and areas of Connecticut and D.C., they go in, and this was in the case with or Delaware with Fox, and the judge defaults you. The judge defaults you and says to the jury, you're guilty. Well, the judge didn't call the default in Dominion with Fox. The judge said, I'm saying you're guilty and you did lie about the election, and I'm going to tell the jury that. We're going to start it from that point. So she did like a soft default with them. That's when they went, whoa, we settled. Well, with me, they did a hard default, said I gave them no information. No, I gave them 4 years of stuff, gave them everything they wanted, and then they had no case because I never made up any of the stuff that they said that I said, and I couldn't put a defense on. The jury's only heard I'm guilty, now decide how much. Then they put financial experts on that never examined our books, didn't want to look at our books, and said I was worth $400 million. At the time of that first trial, I had about $2 million in the bank, and then some real estate.
That's it?
Yeah, it's all lies. It's all lies. Sure, I've had gross sales of $60 million before, but when you're selling, water filters and you're only making 30% on them because you give them a good price, I've sold $10 million of water filters a year, and then we end up after everything, getting a couple million, and then I probably get a couple $100,000 out of that. So you know how business is. You don't get the gross amount, and so. They look back over the fact that we'd made, probably like $600, $700 million in the last 10, 12 years. And they just said, look, he kept $400 million. And then the juries went, well, fine, then give him $1 billion. And then they went back to the judge and said, $1.5 billion in Connecticut's not enough. They said, and that's why it's in Bloomberg. This is not a joke, folks. They said, well, no, we want $2.75 trillion.
How did they come up with that number, though?
They gave an FBI agent who I'd never heard his name, never talked about him. They had none of me on air, none of my crew, no articles. He's listed in the lawsuit from Connecticut. First time I ever read his name, and he got 90+ million from me. And the law says in Connecticut and Texas, you can't sue somebody if they didn't say your name. The judge just waved it and said, we don't care. Look it up. He got $95 million. I'd never seen him, did not know his name till I get the lawsuit and I Google his name. And he said on the stand, he got one phone call at his office to make sure he was really an FBI agent. And he said, and that was because of me. I didn't even know who the guy was that called. Then the guy that called his office showed up at the court, and I found his videos on YouTube, just a polite guy calling up saying, hey, people say this didn't happen. I'm just calling to check you're really FBI agent. And the jury said, $90-something million, you got one phone call.
Jeez.
I want to get one of these phone calls if I get $90 million for it.
Alex, these numbers seem outrageous, whether it's $500 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion.
And by the way, the media will say I'm denying it. 4 years ago on your show, I said I thought it happened. I said it 7 years ago, I thought it happened.
But here's my question.
The media just went and took a few things out of context and blew it up.
Here's my question, Alex. Whatever the outrageous number is, you're saying you were never even worth anything close to that.